One.
Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is America's Mayor Live, live from New Hampshire. And the next time I see you, it'll be live from Milwaukee, where we are headed for the Republican convention that I'm regretting. Isn't that strange? I mean, I'm looking forward to the convention. I'm a political junkie, as you know, among other things. I've been watching conventions since 1952. I remember them well since 56. Um, and I've been at a number, and I've been the keynote speaker at two, and a speaker at three others, and an observer at three. So I really feel like I know conventions. There isn't as much to know about them as there used to be. They used to play a more integral part of the selection of the president and the platform. On the Republican side, that's pretty much been determined. So really, what we're going to do is illustrate all that for you, show you what that entails. There are a couple of controversies and decisions, and of course, there's one big dramatic moment, very big dramatic moment, that has to do with the future of the country, and that is, of course, the selection of the vice president. That person has, if I calculate, something like a 20% chance of being president of the United States just by virtue of that selection, something like that. I mean, he certainly, he or she goes into a special category that if we're going to pick 10 people who are likely to be the next president of the United States, it's going to be that person. So think of the choice that way. Hmm? The same thing is true on the Democrat side. I mean, should Biden strangely drop Harris, which would be ridiculous, it wouldn't happen. Whoever he selected, wow. Biden is in his second term, can't have another one. And in essence, Trump is in the second term. So these two choices they're always important. They always put you in a category of being a possible president by death, by right now, by all rights, Harris should be the president. The man in the White House hardly knows it. And so this is an extraordinary choice that will have an impact on history one way or the other. Will it affect the election? Probably even less so than usual because the candidates, particularly if they remain Biden and Trump, are so well known. I don't see anybody being switched. I don't know, a little switch. Even in the closeness of this election, I don't think enough to make a difference. I don't think, particularly since I know the names out there isn't a choice there that would sink his ticket by any means. And by the same token, and please don't get angry at me, wonderful choices, but there isn't one that's going to make his ticket. He's just too big a figure. Same thing with Biden. Biden can't repair it with a vice presidential choice. He's got Harris. He's got to stay with Harris. If he were to drop Harris, he'd be dead. So their drama is on the presidential side, and that's why I don't like the Republican convention right now, because I wanted to stick on Biden every day. In 13 days, something new comes out. I know because I'm the possessor of everything about the Bidens. I know there's a new story for every day between now and the election about the Biden criminality and just this cover up, the cover up of his insanity. But then we can switch over to the cover up of his criminality, which overlaps sometimes. Uh, so one of the things that I hate is I've always had this sense of justice that he should be tried in a RICO case, and I'd like to prosecute it. Given what we see now, he could legitimately make a motion not to be tried for inability to participate in his own defense, and I think a fair judge might very well grant it. I don't mean one of these judges we've been watching in D.C. and elsewhere. That's a Democrat sycophant, Trump derangement syndrome patient. I mean, like it's a fair, right down the middle judge, an Eisenhower appointment, just fair, right down the middle. Would I? Would I? Would I? Because you may not believe this. You may think this is self-serving. I can put my prejudices aside for the interest of justice. And if I couldn't, I wouldn't make the decision. I don't know how I would decide on the issue of is he capable of participating in his own defense? So there are two insanity issues in the criminal law. They're different. One is, were you legally insane at the time you committed the crime? You can be medically insane and not legally insane. You got to fit the definition your state has of insanity. At the time of the crime, you have to raise it, and then the government has to disprove it by a reasonable doubt. Okay, put that aside. That's not an issue. He was not insane for the 30 years that he took half, as his son tells us, half of the bribe money. And that is based on what Hunter Biden tells you on the hard drive. I have no fear of anybody contradicting that. I'll just show you the piece. Here's the issue. Second issue is, I indict Biden for RICO, $50 million, half of which went to him in bribes. 40 witnesses, videos, everything. His lawyer says, Your Honor, I move to either stay or dismiss this case because he is incapable of participating in his own defense. And what does that mean? That means he is so insane that he can't remember. When his lawyer says, well, they accuse you of going to China with your son, when your son came back with a bribe from China of $1 billion for a private equity fund that included Whitey Bulger's nephew. Do you remember that? You remember the trip? You remember being vice president? No. Is it possible a year or two from now he'll be in that position? You're damn right it is. And if he is, can you try him no matter how much you hate him? Or, no. And you're going to say to me, he's setting that, Maybe he'll set that up after. Right now, he's doing the best he can, almost to try to show you that he isn't like that. And wasn't last night pathetic. All this, he did enough to get by. And go tell that to somebody else. I've been watching the Bidens for too long. I'm too much under their fingernails to buy any of that crap. I'm going to tell you the following. If he hadn't had the debate, and he had that press conference last night, and that's all we had, right now they'd be calling for him being thrown off the ticket because he acted nutty last night. I mean, how about right before you get there, he does the Putin-Zelensky thing. There he is in front of the whole world. He's in front of all the leaders that he's trying to convince that he's compos mentis, who, by the way, if the New York Times can be believed, then who knows? I mean, I'm also fair enough to say they seem to be going overboard in going after Biden. They almost seem to be applying their Trump ethics to Biden. I don't know what to believe of when I read, oh, everybody in the White House now is saying he's been Batsy for 4 years. So now, I mean, when I would get leaks out of the White House in the Times that were contrary or harmful to Biden, about the only thing I could believe in the Times, or any of the sycophant protectors. And a lot of my friends would say, gee, there was so much more leaking in the Trump White House. Does that show moral loyalty? For a while, I thought that way. And then I realized, hey, everything is different here. Nobody's looking for the leaks in the Biden White House. Trump had a lot of leaks because he had a lot of spies. So here's the Trump White House, right? Here it is. Here's the White House. Every day. And I used to come in, Jay Sekulow and I would come in, and we stopped going to the White House during the day, because we would go see him 3-4 times a week sometimes preparing the defense. But we stopped going in the day because we couldn't get his attention for more than 3 minutes. We'd start in on, did this happen? And he'd start, all of a sudden, somebody would come in, or somebody, or one of the half of the jerks that he had working for him would come in. I mean, Jay and I would look at us, what the hell is this guy doing here? And but this guy was constant motion. It started. It reminded me when I was mayor. There's an old painting. I think I'll get a copy of it when I stop at home, and bring it with me. There's an old painting of City Hall, a cartoon of City Hall, of my predecessor, the one that I admire the most, Fiorello LaGuardia. And it shows City Hall in the morning. He shows up at his usual 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock or whatever. And he's walking in. City Hall is all beautiful. It's a beautiful building. The front of it is. The back of it's cheap. Front of the building. He walks in, and it's nice and quiet. Then it starts to move. Then smoke comes out of it. Then fire comes out of it. By the time he's walking out at night, the whole place is blown up, and he's walking out of a blown up City Hall, and he's very calmly getting in the car. That's what was like in my City Hall. Constant activity. That was like in Trump's White House. This place is like a very, very quiet, locked down asylum for the criminally insane. Like if it's an insane asylum, it's a little bit like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. But if it's the criminally insane, I used to run those in the Bureau of Prisons. Boom, boom, cha-da-da. Boom, boom. Oh, boom, boom. You go nice and quiet, nice and quiet, nice and quiet. 3 hours a day, they get to function. What he functions 4 hours a day, right? I think he functions 4 hours a day. That's what the leakers are now saying.
We got to be fair. 6 hours, Mayor.
Oh, yeah. Did you notice a couple of
10 to
things
4.
that Dr. Giuliani will now diagnose? The last 20 minutes of the press conference, man, it was like, I used to box a long time ago, and I watched a lot more boxing matches than I was in. And when that guy is in that, it's a 10-round fight, and he's gotten beaten, but he doesn't want to go down. He doesn't want to get knocked out. He wants it to be on points. At least I stayed in with the champ. I stayed in with the champ. Like Rocky, first time, right? I stayed in with the champ. He looked like he was about ready to, like, one more shot, and the legs were weak. The eyes were like closing. He was getting even more and more confused. He started doing more of his well anyways. Did you see the well anyways? You know what that is? That's like, that'd be like if you could superimpose on it, every time he says, well, anyway, dementia. Then, well, anyway, dementia. And what I really like to do, I didn't have the time to do it, is I'd like to do like grammar parsing of the sentence, meaning what was he saying before well anyway, and what happened after? Because the well anyway is a loss of short-term memory. He says well anyway because he doesn't remember what he's saying. And one of two things happens. He goes on to another subject, or he stops cold. Like you don't expect him to stop. Boom. Well, he is. Say other things at other time. That's it. Back during the debates a year ago, it was a different expression. You can go back on my podcast, and the psychiatrist will explain it to you. But man, this was in big form last night. Did it? One outlet counted 9 times. I illustrated 7.
And we're going to have the clip just a minute from now.
On my Frank speech show, I illustrated 7 of them. One of them either preceded by or followed by a complete delusion. Next time, I won't go travel to 12 time zones and right before. Are you kidding me? He got one of the biggest vacations I've ever seen anybody get. I've never heard of a president getting, we got 7 specific days off, 12 complete days since he traveled. But 7 days of 7 days of rest. I mean, it's that much more damning. If this is what we get, that debate, after 7 days of rest, what the hell are we getting with the leader? much more concern. What are we getting from our enemies? Why does nobody ask that question? Why are we always talking about politics? Because we don't have enough patriotic Americans representing us. That's why. The first thought that should come to a patriotic American is the first thought that came to Miranda Devine's column. The first thought that came to Michael Goodwin's column. I mean, both of them, and they write separately. Well, from the very beginning, they said the big issue here is the security of the United States of America. Who cares who the Democratic candidate is or Republican candidate at this point? Every day, you talk about existential threat to the country is climate change. Joe Biden is an existential threat to the country. These Democrats love to use that word. Every one of those slime bags love it. It's an existential threat to the country. Trump is a threat to democracy. Well, what the hell is a lame brain president? What does the 25th Amendment mean if it doesn't mean him? It gives the vice president, this nincompoop that we have, it gives the vice president the duty of assessing that. Well, she's as good at that as she is stopping illegals from coming in. And they want to make her president. Holy. Maybe we'll have 20 million coming in with her. We can measure her by one. She was given one responsibility. Stop. I don't think a country in the world has ever had an invasion like this. He is way beyond Trump. He is the idea that he's less than Trump. It's such a lie. They accuse Trump of lying. The only reason you can't be sure that everyone is a lie is half of them are delusions. You can't separate with him now the lie and the delusion. When he was a kid, he was a pathological, mentally ill liar. Now he's a demented, pathologically, mentally ill liar. Wow, I'm separating all that. Like, I just came back and I was jet lagged after 12 days. I mean, if you can't travel, you can't be president, jerk.
Let's roll the tape.
Well, anyway, in the next debate, I'm not going to be traveling in the 15 time zones a week before. Anyway, I'm catching hell from my wife for that. Anyway, it wasn't about just, anyway, read what his objective is. And anyway, but then again, they're better than a lot of other people here too. But anyway.
My son's a crook. Anyway, my family's perverted. Did you know that? Anyway, I like little children touching my legs. Anyway. Yes, my son did say he gave half his salary to me for 30 years. Anyway, I wonder if we give him truth serum. Maybe if you just said, Joe, anyway, we get a confession. Yes, I knew all about Kolomoisky being Zelensky's mentor and a big crook, and he's the guy. Oh, Kolomoisky, Zelensky's mentor. He was my money launderer. Yeah. He put the money. Joe, how many bank accounts do you got? Offshore bank accounts. Well, anyway. No. Well, anyway, how many? If you ask it that way. Oh, 4. Hey, tell us about that transaction that started in Latvia that ended up with about 800,000 or 900,000 for you when you were vice president. Want to tell us about that? There's a little note about it right here. Well, anyway, you really expect me to go back that far? I mean, I'm working on what did Jill feed me this morning? I mean, this is pathetic. It really is pathetic. Well, the point of the well, anyways, is. Let's see here. Look, just like this, right? I'm just gonna draw this for a second. Here. So he's talking about how Trump is a criminal. Trump is a felon, right? There's Trump. All of a sudden he gets to here, and something the brain, the little connections in the brain that go like this, they stop. It goes boom. It hits a wall. Now he's sitting there. This all happens in a second. Sometimes it goes longer. Sometimes you can see those 2 second, 3 second. But you get a little. It stops, right? Now he doesn't know where to go. He's forgotten Trump. He's in a panic because his brain has just stopped. And what happens now? That or he stops. So you can watch those. You can watch the 7 I analyzed, and in each one of them, you either get Trump, and now we go to Israel because he remembers Israel. And now, if you keep going, you're going to get another one. When I helped getting the president ready for one of the debates 4 years ago, the advice of the psychiatrists were, let him go more than 2 minutes. Telling you exactly their advice. Let him go more than 2 minutes and he'll talk himself out of the presidency. And the president, President Trump, was so anxious and annoyed at his lying that he interrupted him a couple of times when I got a feeling he was getting right up to here. I had a feeling he was getting right up to here. And then there are a couple of times where the moderator, who I think picked up on it, did it. And I don't think that CNN picked 2 minutes just arbitrarily, because it is too curiously the same amount of time the psychiatrist said. And if you want to check me, you just go back and look at my podcast in August of 2020. 2 minutes, yeah. And it's right now, if you want to check it, you can go on ZX, go on the subscription channel, America's Mayor Confidential. We're going to have plenty of stuff about the convention next week. And you'll see it. And fascinating to watch it now. You watch those psychiatrists, just keep reminding yourself they're talking about 4 years ago. And when you look at the videos that were selected for that, remember they're 5 years old. So when Nancy, no original parts on her face, Pelosi says, is it a episode or a condition? No, he's only done it 4,000 times, the hard face, you know? So we'll take a short break.
Yeah.
And we will be right back. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at Rudy. Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's Coffee. Rudy Giuliani back again, and oh, what do you see behind me? What? The Milwaukee Bucks? That is the convention for the convention I'd like to put off for 2 weeks. Or 3. or 4, or do it quietly because I love this Biden story. 13 days. I don't know if we're even going to get a 14th out of it before we start. On Monday, you are going to see America's mayor, Ted, Dr. Maria. We're going to be there covering it. We're going to be covering it live. And we'll start probably around 7 on Frank's speech. I think it'll be on X also, but we certainly can get it on Frank's speech, and we'll have Emerald Robinson with us, and we'll have Mike with us, and we'll have Mike Lindell with us, of course, and then a lot of others. And I should tell you, not that I want to boast, right, but you get the benefit of somebody who's been the keynote speaker at 2 Republican conventions, has been to 5, has been a delegate at 4, has been to 3 Democrat conventions as a spy. And I'll tell you those stories. I don't know if I should, but see, I don't think I have a chance this time, so no reason not to reveal it. Last time I got in, because the police love me and they hate the Democrats. Well, they know who's on their side. They know the Democrats are on the side of the criminals and the Republicans on the side of the police. And what story did I break? That was the last time. It was. The story that I broke with a Philadelphia police officer who went on, and then it was all over that morning, the morning of Hillary's acceptance. Hillary excluded the uniformed police from the convention. She thought it was a bad look. Uniforms are a bad look, of course. She's counting on the vote of criminals like her. Criminals see the police, they put it off. I'll tell you the rest of them later. The capital. Let's go to Biden first. So now we've had the debate where it fell apart. The 13 days of revelations of other strange, idiotic, insane behavior. And then Trump is the vice president. Somehow he thinks he has a commander-in-chief. 9 well anyways with non sequiturs. Putin confused with Zelensky, and who knows what else. So first I'll go to Dr. Maria this time. Dr. Maria.
Yes. Yes, Mayor.
This is asking your opinion. Of course, as a doctor, you're always a doctor, but not medical opinion. But does Biden make it, or where? He's going to get a little break now from the story a day, maybe, with the Republican convention. So then they take up with him about 2 weeks from now. Does he make it to the convention?
You know, from what I see of President Biden in the whole Biden family, remember, we have him on air saying nobody F's with a Biden. You know, it's their whole mantra that they're above everybody.
Gangster stuff.
He's going to stay till he's forced out. And I don't think that can happen until their convention when the delegates vote for somebody else. But that's my position right now, but it's like a 50-50 thing. But people have met with him behind the scenes and he still won't step down. Over 20 Democrats have, other people, the media's left-leaning media, for Christ's sakes. George Clooney, who had to see he was demented just a few weeks ago at the fundraiser for him.
Big time, right?
Yeah, so they've all
Look at the times.
still won't
The
step
Times is
down.
acting like he's Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, I got to say
Very
one thing about the
interesting.
Times: they're crooked and dishonest about everybody.
yeah.
Wow.
So as you know, the delegates do not have to vote for the traditional nominee.
And he told them they did.
Yeah.
And it's something like when you poll the Democrats, 70% don't want him to run.
Yeah, so it'll be very interesting,
it will.
actually.
Ted. So Dr. Maria thinks that he hangs on until the convention, and then assuming there's a lot of work being done, I'm sure there'll be a lot of work being done underneath with the delegates, working up the delegates push him out. What do you say, Ted?
So I think he's out. I think there's a 90% chance that Joe Biden is not the nominee.
By the time of the convention.
See, this is where I'm starting to get. By the time voting starts, can I go with that? Well, no, it has to be convention, right? They got to know the
I mean, he
convention.
has to be. Well, no, that's not true. They can take him out after the convention too.
After the convention, but the more I think about this, Dr. Maria, in her, she's just so wise and understands these things. She's convincing me. I'm changing my mind in real time.
That the breaking point will be.
Well, the votes, people start voting like in September, which is crazy, but people start voting in September. So it's got to be in the next month, as Dr. Maria is saying. It's most likely by convention that's the inflection point, right? That's when they got to put up or shut up. Biden and his team, right? He is digging in. He's digging in his heels. What we hear is that Obama and others are really trying to get him out. And so I think Dr. Maria is onto something here. He's out, but he survives until Chicago. But unlike, and I'll let the mayor's you're going to give your thoughts, and you're both much more experienced than I am on this. I'm almost convinced he's not going to be the nominee. For whatever reason, this guy, I just don't. The only way he stays is if he just says, I'm not going, right?
May I ask you one question? When did
Yes,
I first tell you he wouldn't be the nominee?
Probably around when I first started working with you in October of 22, right before the midterms.
Yeah. I never could believe, having proven, I thought, that he was too demented to be president in 2020, and that it is a progressive disease. I didn't think he would last, but having said that, I'm going to stick with my prediction that he's going to go out, and I'm going to go with, and I think it's better than 50-50 that he's out. I don't think it's going to happen at the convention. I think it's going to happen before the convention. I attribute a little bit more political wisdom to the Democrats than maybe you would, because I think they're politically smart. They're crooked as hell, but they're politically smart. It would be dumb to have it happen at the convention. It'd be very disruptive, very disorganized. I know earlier we were making fun of, who's going to vote for convention disruption. Well, it can happen. It happened in '68. Convention disruption can actually go beyond the political party and take out the House and Senate.
And what city was the '68 convention?
Chicago. You don't want in August, just a month before voting started. And I'm not even talking about Biden and Trump. You don't want them to see a Democrat Party that's in complete disarray. Some of them for Harris, some of them for Newsom, some of them for Whitlis, some of them for somebody else, and then make them believe they got together on the last night. You don't want to see the Black Caucus come in and exercise their power and say, we get to pick the nominee. You can't pick the nominee, and telling the party it's a black party, not a white party. You don't want the pro-Muslims to come in and say, you want the little vote in Michigan, kill Jews. You got all that going on. The art here is to contain that. They want a convention like ours. Everybody wants a convention like ours. Doesn't necessarily get your votes, but doesn't lose your votes. And, if your convention can give you a little bump, 2-3 points, if your vice president doesn't take anything away, you're ahead of the game. I think, without doubt, there's only one smart political move left for them, and that is very quietly to convince Biden to back out gracefully. Dr. Maria may be right, may be impossible. They are gangsters. I mean, they are. He is a lifelong criminal, hard to accept, I know. He and his brothers and his son are lifelong criminals. They've been stealing money forever, and that makes you into a gangster. And they act like gangsters and they talk like gangsters. I know gangsters. They're not really even your usual corrupt politician. They're thoroughly corrupt. I mean, you'll have a politician that takes money here, and then the rest of his life he tries to pretend, or he tries to be honest and honorable. This guy is a complete scoundrel. Look at how he deals with his granddaughter he won't meet with. Now, listen to his language when you get below the surface. What a prick he is. Horrible man. And now the stuff coming out of the White House, you see how people are afraid of him and don't want to talk to him. And this is not a nice guy. It's a big joke. Trump is a nice guy. He is actually not a nice guy. But that's always been the irony for people who knew them. So I'm going to go with what I would do if I were a Democrat. And if I were Obama, who's the only one probably has to do it, but not necessarily internally. Maybe they need Mrs. Obama. And that is to sit him down and say, hey, jerks, you want to give it to Trump? You really mean this? I mean, about Trump? I know you don't mean the democracy thing, but you really want to keep the power so we can still keep stealing? And I can go from $1 billion to $2 billion, Michelle and me? Well, we got one shot. We may not win. We may have screwed ourselves so badly, we may not win. But you want the one chance? He goes out and says, I can't jeopardize the entire party on a situation that, my health might become an issue, and it is an issue, and I feel bad. Maybe I push myself too far, but it's because I love all that garbage. And then he says, and I will place Kamala Harris's name in nomination. And she and I and President Obama and whoever else you want to put have gotten together, and she will announce before the convention, like Trump, a vice president, both for the country and for the nominee. And I'd do that quickly. I wouldn't leave a big gap because, I mean, if he resigns, because he's going to have to resign. If he doesn't resign, the Republicans will pound him with, he's not good enough for the Democratic Party. He's too crazy for the Democratic Party, but he doesn't matter. He can be president. He can't be a candidate, but he can decide whether we're going to throw bombs around the world. I mean, I'd kill him with that. So he's got to go. Bye-bye, Joe. Go on the plane. Go away. Maybe a little sympathy. Kamala runs from the presidency, and she picks a balancing candidate. I don't know who. I don't know. You've got to tell me who would balance her. I haven't thought that far. I'm not a Democrat. But that would be the best way to do it and get it done before the convention. So you go into a convention that, as best as possible, underscores that and shows unity. Now, as a Republican, I would hate that. As an American, that's the way it should be done. And I can separate the two things. I'm not a miserable, traitorous, greedy creep like most of the Democrats you listen to. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, I'm going to ask my panel one last question, and then I'm going to go pack. I'm going to ask them about the vice president pick on the Republican side, the person that will next week get put into a group of 10 people that are going to be the most likely people to be the next president of the United States. We'll be right back.
We're having the biggest sale ever on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save 60% on our Goose Down comforters, the best comforters ever. They go perfectly with our MyPillow bed sheets and duvet covers. Save 25% on our brand new kitchen towels. They're made with the same technology as our famous My Towels. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. Our seasonal flannel sheets are finally in. You save up to 50%, and they sell out fast every year, so order now. They're truly the best flannel sheets you'll ever sleep on. Or save up to 80% on all our clearance items. And this is where it gets even better. For a limited time, your entire order ships absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use that promo code to get deep discounts on all MyPillow products. And for a limited time, your order ships absolutely free.
Rudy Giuliani back again, and there's where we're going to be next week, right behind you. I don't know if that'll be the background we have, but we just picked that one to show you the background at the hall. Now, I've been in Milwaukee a lot, and I've been there since then, but my most memorable occasion in Milwaukee was 2003? The one that was a tie.
Bud Selig, I remember watching that game.
Terrible night for baseball.
Was that the old ballpark?
I was a coach.
Was that the new stadium?
I was
or
an American League coach on that team, selected by Joe Torre. I have my uniform.
Maybe it was 2002 then.
It was the one that ended in a tie.
Yeah, the one probably right after 9/11.
Yeah.
They'd make
Yeah.
you that's when you'd be the coach, right?
Yeah. Of course, I sat in the dugout with all the players and sat in the dugout for the home run derby. And
I believe it happened on my birthday. Let's look that up. All-Star game.
it was one where I started worrying and I got to tell you, in the 7th or 8th inning, I said to Joe and some of the other coaches, how come we don't have any pitchers left? Yeah, we don't have to have pitchers left. They never need pitchers left. Well, that's what happened. We got to the 9th inning and nobody had a pitcher left. We had a tie game and nobody had a pitcher left. And then Bud Selig decided to call the game off, which you never do in baseball.
Yeah.
Well, let me shut up about Bud Selig. Used to get the Yankees in trouble when I would talk about Bud Selig. You know, he was like he's a relative of Mindy.
Of who?
Yeah. I mean, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. I just,
Oh, he's a relative? Really?
a relative of Mindy, I think. Or if not relative, they are close friends. And he's a heck of a good guy. Oh, Ted, I was there at Fenway when Ted Williams got with Andrew. When Ted Williams got the great ovation at Fenway, the last All-Star game at
Yeah, it's all
yeah.
said to him, you are going to be the next guy to hit.
Yeah,
for
then
us."
Nomar went bad from there on. No, I remember when it was Nomar, A-Rod, and Jeter as the 3 great shortstops in the American League. Omar, A-Rod, and Jeter. And they always used to compare them, who was the best shortstop, who was the best hitter.
It's Nomar. I thought you said Omar.
Nomar. No.
Nomar, yeah.
I mean, I think Nomar's right up there.
Yeah.
But and please, Derek, don't get mad at me, but A-Rod was the best athlete.
Of that time?
Oh my God, 50 home runs before
here,
he got to
let's see
Yankee
if they-
Stadium as a shortstop. I don't think any shortstop ever had 50 home runs.
Let's see if did they introduce you? We have right now we have some B-roll playing
much
of the 2002 All-Star game. I just want to see if they introduce you, Mayor. We'll just go through the
Well, now I have another question.
yeah,
So,
okay. We'll cut that off. Go ahead. No, you're on. I just had some B-roll going in the back.
familiar.
That was Johnny Damon.
Oh, Johnny became a good friend of mine. Do you know Johnny?
All right, we'll keep
came
playing
with
it.
me for a month when I ran for president? Do you know Johnny spent a month before spring training with me in Florida campaigning for president for me?
Wow.
Yep.
Nomar right there.
Yeah. It was a really good shortstop. I mean, it was very hard to pick.
Really? Of
It was
Nomar?
very hard. There were certain things that each one of them did better.
There he is. There's Johnny Damon.
Great player. Helped win us the 09 World Series. Helped you win the World Series too. Yeah.
Ugas Urbina.
How many Red Sox were on that team?
3. Paul Konerko.
This is 02. It's the year after the Yankees lost the World Series to Arizona. There's Chicago.
That's why you were the coach, but I'm wondering if I just want to get to the part where
There's Minnesota.
AJ Pierzynski, that's what I want to know.
As a young man,
There's Derek Jeter.
middle of his career, right? That's sort of the middle of early career still.
There's another Yankee, Robin Ventura.
Yep.
Wow,
Robin Ventura.
I don't remember that name
Never
too
heard.
much. He was pretty good though. I mean, he's an all-star.
Greatest relief pitcher in the history of the world. Greatest relief pitcher in the history of the world.
Oh, back when Oakland A's. Barry Zito.
But probably
They mixed them up. The A's had quite the lineup back then. Was that Miguel Tejada probably? They mixed up a couple of those guys.
we beat them in the playoffs that year, the year before.
Barry Zito.
And we beat Seattle. They're Seattle.
No, not Ichiro. Freddie Garcia.
Yeah.
Some of these names, these were guys that
Now, he pitched for the Yankees and he pitched for the Red Sox.
at the time they were good, but a lot of these names I don't remember now, right? Roy Halladay.
Oh, great pitcher. One of the best.
Did he have an accident?
I don't know if he had an accident. They didn't show the coaches. Too bad.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping. Well, they might right here.
During the game, they showed us.
Is that the coach?
No,
Yeah.
but maybe.
Oh, maybe before the game. So let's just, I know we're kind of going down a rabbit hole here, but let's see if they mention the
I
coaches
think
at the
we're
beginning.
wasting time, Ted.
I know.
When you find it, you let us know.
Okay.
So now I want to know. So I'll ask you first, Ted,
Okay.
so I can get you off your obsession here. So now we have the question of VP.
Yeah.
So here, you tell me you want to add one to this list. Burgum, Vance, Rubio, Scott.
So
Anybody else?
And join in on the conversation. Comment below who you think the president. 2 questions: who you think he should pick, and who you think he will
But you
pick.
can add somebody to that if you want.
Absolutely, I would
aren't
add.
those the 4.
Those are the 4. Well,
we don't have any hope for our original choice, Ben.
We do. In a recent interview, the President Trump went on and mentioned that he had narrowed it down to 4 or 5 people, and then he went on to list the 4 people you just
He
mentioned.
the 5th.
So, which genius, right? Just Trump being.
Well, did he do it on purpose?
Yeah.
Or was he
I love
having a
that.
senior?
Yeah. No, but I love that. So I would say Ben Carson is who I hope he picks. Just going off what we're all hearing, and I have no inside knowledge. Let's say I'm going to say he's going to go with Burgum, but I hope he goes with Ben Carson.
I have been hoping for Governor Doug Burgum the whole time, and I have been. And that's who I think logically he would pick. I like your argument about Marco Rubio. The problem is they're both Florida resident, and no one's changed or done anything yet. And don't they have to do it at the? They can still have time to do it?
Absolutely. They do it right before the election.
We know Don Jr. said no to 2 people, Nikki Haley and Marco Rubio. And I don't know, I don't recall the explanation with either
The
of them.
Haley one I understand.
Yeah, the Haley one I definitely understand.
I do not understand the Rubio one, except for the fact that he's a big proponent of Vance.
Well,
but you still don't have to go negative on somebody if you're a big proponent of somebody else. I mean, I consider Rubio, of the people that were Trump's opponents, like I thought I would never forgive Cruz, and I sure have. I think Cruz has been a yeoman. I mean, I think Cruz has been a terrific Republican, a terrific patriot. He's one of the people I count on the most to protect us.
Doug Jr. is to introduce Trump's VP pick at Republican National Convention.
Yeah, well, that
Junior.
Yeah, so that pretty much, unless you're an idiot, tells you it's Vance, which I told you. I think it's going to be Vance.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be Vance. What's the argument for Vance and what's the argument against Vance? The argument for Vance, sure, he solidifies the base. That's probably the argument against him. He doesn't need that. But he does reach out beyond the base to the working class. He reaches out to the reconstruction of the Republican Party. He's probably one of the most articulate in talking to working people, which is how he won his election.
Mayor, I don't know anybody who's been to as many conventions as you. Let me just say, this is The Guardian, I guess. They're saying Trump has said he wants his running mate to be revealed at the convention next week in Milwaukee. But due to convention rules that require the ticket to be nominated by the first day, the former president has been forced to make a decision before Wednesday.
He changed it. They changed the rule to Wednesday. The rule got changed today, which now that doesn't mean, look, he's a consummate game player, and he's also a dynamic decision maker. By that, I mean he doesn't let rules interfere in making decisions.
Love that.
So that was a smart thing to do, just to open up the field, to give yourself more time. The president shouldn't be required to choose until he has to choose. I always believe you make it
Dramatic.
You make a critical decision at the last possible moment you can make it, so long as it doesn't hold anything up. And the last possible moment, because at the very last minute, you could find out something damaging or helpful. So the last possible moment now will be what he had to do on Monday, he can now do on Wednesday. What I haven't seen the rule. It could mean that unless he ties it up in a real bow carefully, he'll get a pretty good leak Wednesday morning, when he has to reveal it to the committee on Monday morning.
Mayor, of course, you know how I feel about the media. It spins and lies. So I take this with a grain of salt, but let's see what article this is. The New Republic, breaking news. Trump Jr. does not want his father to pick Senator Marco Rubio because he fears Republican establishment will support impeaching the elder Trump, because Marco Rubio is seen more as establishment Republican.
And that, if you think back to 16, right, in the primary, and
Fascinating. I never would have
Yeah.
thought of that. I mean, I can't.
Rubio won the DC primary in 16, the Republican.
No, but I mean, I can't just reject that out of hand, given the sickness of
Washington.
arrangement syndrome. I mean, a lot of people would say, "Oh, gee, he's being paranoid." I don't think he is. And I don't think it would be Rubio's fault.
Exactly. It wouldn't necessarily come from Rubio. It would come from the people.
When I think of some of the people in the Republican Party, like that Lincoln, that group of Lincoln guys that were
Those creeps
run by the pervert.
What a bunch of creeps.
The guy who got well, he was
Perverts.
I mean, not that it says it about all of them. It was run by that pervert Weaver.
That John Weaver, who I
Alleged
knew, and you
knew him well. Yeah.
Well, not too well, right?
Well, I knew him well. I knew him.
Pedophile.
My opponent told me he was a crook. John McCain. McCain fired him for stealing money from him.
He got fired from every campaign.
And then he's got this
In
creep.
Michigan.
He has this one candidate creep, anti-Republican, who goes around. I went to his first one of his presidential retreats or whatever in Hamptons. Really hard to hear him. I couldn't see him. He was like in a group. Well, Weaver is the guy. Weaver ran the Lincoln thing and then got arrested. I don't know whatever happened to the case, so I better not say.
Yeah, but
he got arrested on some allegation of child whatever.
Yeah. Look, he's a creep, and
they had to
we'll
get
leave
rid
it
of him at the Lincoln Project, and I thought it was going to be the end of the Lincoln Project, but now it's run by Wilson, who used to work for me at one time, and somehow it's turned into a
rabid Democrat. Yeah,
but he's a maniacal Trump hater.
Yes, Democrat.
He clearly needs a treatment.
And Schmidt.
So that's why we are going to take a commercial break for a few minutes, and we'll be right back. Not in Milwaukee, in New Hampshire, but that's Milwaukee in the background.
1 second. I gotta go to break.
Delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. This is Rudy Giuliani back from Manchester, New Hampshire, with Milwaukee, Wisconsin behind me. That was, of course, Dr. Maria. And
One fan.
And we have decided on our list of we've got a Burkham, we've got a Carson, and we've got a Vance. And I have Vance as the choice. You know that at the very beginning, my choice was Ben Carson. on Rubio, but I understand now better, Maria. I understand better now Don Jr.'s concern, and I don't dismiss it lightly at all. I don't know what we're going to face when he wins. I mean, I faced the last one, right? Because I was his lawyer for the impeachment on the most contrived criminally based on their side charges ever. I mean, I dealt with and unraveled frame-ups before, including a big trial I did as a prosecutor of a frame-up. But this is almost unthinkable what they did. I mean, Hillary paid for the phony Russian collusion, and then it got that far to trying to impeach a lawfully elected president. I mean, isn't that some? I mean, I'm going to talk like a non-lawyer now. Isn't that some kind of treason for all those? And these are all the people now. These are all the people now who are pushing the 4 phony cases. January 6th, there was no election interference, and Trump is going to take away democracy. Because it's a little ridiculous. He doesn't have to take away democracy; they already have. You think that with the court system we have right now, it's democracy? You think what happened to the District of Columbia is democracy? Or in New York? You think that's democracy? I know it's not. I mean, it's democracy in the sense of dictatorship with the majority, but it's not democracy in the fulsome sense of the word, like our founding fathers meant, like not a 2-tier system of justice, but the same justice for everyone. Isn't it interesting that another Democrat, Michael Baldwin, has established a new defense? Guns can go off by themselves. I mean, who pulled the trigger? And actors aren't responsible for what's in the gun. Isn't everybody else responsible for what's in a gun? I pick up a gun, I'm going to count on somebody else not having put a bullet in it, point it and shoot it, and I kill somebody and there's no responsibility because I'm a goddamn world well-known Democrat slob who was going to leave the country in 2000 if Bush were elected? Had he done that, the poor girl would be alive today. If he was a man of his word and Baldwin had left the country when he said he would, the girl would be alive today. I mean, Democrats can get away with murder in America. I mean, I had some understanding and sympathy for the guy until he started with this. He didn't pull the trigger. I mean, I'd be willing to accept that he did it accidentally, but what about the line? I didn't pull it. That's what we call a false exculpatory statement. That usually gets you found guilty if you're not in the golden circle of Democrats. Well, I was going to say, who cares? But you always care about murder. That's where I wear this. It'll be on for the entire convention. I hope people see it. What does it say? It says Ashley Babbitt. You know, I come from a police department family, and I come from a police department that I ran that has a very, very solemn oath, and that is we never close a murder case, ever, ever, ever. Murder cases of 300 years ago are still open.
Wow.
Every once in a while, my police commissioner would have come in and we thought we got murder below, let's say, 800. We got down to 799 on our way down from 2000. And he'd say, we're back up to 800. I said, how did it happen? We just solved the case. I said, yeah, but don't they count it 3 years ago? No, we count it now. I think we did count it now. We don't. I'm not sure. I think we did count it now.
Oh,
I remember
your mayor
that got solved now.
Yeah.
Went back and affected
Yeah.
or
That's probably what happened
now. I'm gonna have to check that.
During-
But in any event, you'll get a surprise murder. You know, I used to get accused of putting the bodies in New Jersey. They went down so much. Look, I reduced murder by 60%. On 2,000, do the arithmetic.
That's hundreds.
There's a lot of people alive that would have been dead had I not inaugurated policies that were very controversial and now are just common sense that are, of course, rejected completely by the well, the motivating force in the Democrat Party. The Democrat progressives support it, and the rest just keep their mouth shut, just like they do keep their mouth shut about anti-Semitism. It's a party, the Democrat Party can now be rightfully described as an anti-Semitic party. They're either vocally anti-Semitic or they shut their mouth, like Schumer. They go hide in a basement and don't talk anymore because they're afraid that they won't have the support of the, they won't get the 12 votes in Michigan. Yeah, I mean, Biden is throwing away Israel for, 12 votes in Michigan, 12 Islamic votes in Michigan. They're going to vote against him because he's not doing enough to help Hamas win. I think he's. He's too out of it to put that all together, but that must confuse the hell out of him, Ted. I mean, from the except for the very beginning, he's been tying Netanyahu's hands like crazy. Netanyahu's been ready. I mean, even at the beginning, Netanyahu was ready to invade and get it over with right away. He held him up for 3 weeks. Got a lot of Israelis killed as a result of that. But he held them up for 3 weeks from going in. He never let them execute the plan they wanted to execute. He won't give them the bombs they want to really clean out the tunnels, the 2,000-pound bombs. Finally, after a year, he gave them the 500-pound bombs, which will do some damage, but not really clean it up. And it's in the best interest of the United States, Israel, and the world to eliminate Hamas. And it's not to be brutal or anything else. It's to be humane to the people Hamas wants to kill, including their own people, like the jackasses here who protest for them and are gay and lesbian, and if they went there, they would kill them. I mean, I don't get you can't get that. I do not understand if I were gay or lesbian how I would protest in favor of an organization that would kill my brothers and sisters. I don't get it. I don't get it how you would protest in favor of an organization that kills innocent people. But sometimes, sometimes it takes a connection to in your psyche. And usually if it's a familial connection, it'll do that. It's like, how does Schumer turn his back on Israel? Lots of Jewish people ask me that. How do I know? I do know Schumer, and he used to have a great deal of respect for him and still have a great deal of respect for his wife. But I don't understand. I don't agree with his political positions. I do think he went too far in selling out, even on his political positions, to the wacky left. But all of that, you can kind of stretch the rubber band for that. But not speaking out the way he should, and then telling Netanyahu that he's got to leave office and interfering in their internal elections on behalf of preserving Hamas. I guess I shouldn't get so upset. But in a way, I feel Jewish. It's a strange thing to say, but maybe growing up in New York, growing up in a neighborhood that was, I feel Jewish and Irish because I went to an Irish Catholic school and had Irish Catholic friends, and my baseball team was Irish Catholic and Jewish. My neighborhood was Irish Catholic and Jewish. I was a fan of Israel forever because they're so damn brave. Used to root for Israel like a baseball team when those wars happened because they're so brave. I admire human virtue, and loyalty, people say, is the one that I admire the most. But in a way, the most dramatic is bravery, isn't it? Courage and bravery is the most dramatic human quality because it's the one we're never sure we have. I mean, I've had very brave people tell me that you're not brave all the time. You can be like somebody who's been very, very brave in war. They get older, and then you never know. I never judge anybody. I remember a couple of nights into September 11, I said a little prayer. I said to my father, I think maybe finally I reached, I'm worthy of you. My father was extraordinarily brave. But I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure until I faced death. And, how would I be? Would I just think about myself, or could I overcome it? And I think I could do it again, but I'm not sure. I think if you are sure, you're a fool. I think you're a fool. You also think you're God. We're getting close to the convention, and this is not philosophy time, but let me tell you, the real problem with Marx is he didn't believe in God. He believed in Satan. He actually did. It wasn't that he wasn't a spiritualist. He believed in Satan. But he believed that you should be God. It's the primary sin. It's the sin of Adam and Eve, isn't it? They were going to have more knowledge than God if they ate the apple. It's very complex, but if you can understand that, you can understand a lot about morality in life. If you can understand that dual pull in the human mind, the human personality, human conscience, human intelligence between submission to God and wanting to be God. It's probably the quintessential battle between good and evil. But okay, let's get back to something a little bit easier to deal with on a Friday afternoon. As we end 13 days, maybe not end it, but 13 days of completely unbelievable revelations that I never thought I'd see the New York Times turn on Biden. But I did realize that when you start acting dishonestly and use all these non-journalistic things that the Times have been doing against us, you're going to do it against them too. And they are. I have no idea if they're covering Biden fairly now. I suspect they're not. Doesn't mean he shouldn't. I mean, I know independent, I don't need the Times, because I know more about Biden than the Times does. They've never studied the hard drive the way I have. And they didn't interview the people in the Ukraine about it, or see his file in the Ukraine. Zelensky and I have seen that. And that's why I don't respect Zelensky. Sure, he may be doing a great job for his country or not, I'm not sure. But there's something essentially crooked about him. And I don't trust people who are essentially crooked. And my objection to the money going there is because it's a crooked country. And my objection to being allowed into NATO is that they're a crooked country. And nobody talked about that. They had a little thing about basically the big hurdle to get into NATO was you had to straighten out your organized crime and your criminality. And Ukraine hasn't done a damn thing about that. It's the same Ukraine now as when Biden was stealing money there a few years ago. So how do I tell you with any confidence that that amount of money, that 150 to 200 billion is really, I mean, could I possibly believe it's all being spent honestly? I'd be a fool to tell you that. I'd be lying to you. I'd be defying what I know to be true. So let's see. Let's make sure we got you everything you need for the weekend. The stuff that you wouldn't get anywhere else. We went through the VPs, Vance, Burgum, Rubio, and Sott, and the unknown one that Ted says was left out. Maybe the one, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure with Don Jr. doing the introduction that it's going to be Senator Vance. And I'd say look, the plus on that, and the plus on that is you're going to see a much bigger, I would say much bigger. You're going to see a bump in the blue collar vote. And then you're going to see it increase because he knows how to talk to them. And that's a great talent. And so does Trump, by the way. But you like that backed up by a VP, and not everybody can talk to them. Romney surely couldn't. Even Bush. Actually, Bush 41 didn't know how to talk to them. Bush 43 knew how to talk to them, and this is where I blame Karl Rove. He never used Bush right. He never used, when Bush won in 00, I remember about 6 or 8 months before, Governor Pataki and I took him on a tour of the Bronx like Trump did. He got a great reception. And Bush 43 had a great rapport with people. And Rove ran him as an ex-urban candidate, gave up the suburbs. Never had him do the kinds of things Trump is doing, and Bush wouldn't have been bad at it. I'm talking about 43, but that's just a political observation. And it slowed the growth of our party. Because we've been open to that for a long time. And the first guy to do it for us big time is Trump. And Vance, that's what can do. What Rubio could do is intensify the Hispanic vote, move it maybe a couple percent. First of all, solidify it. Make sure we got what we got. And even though you say, well, he's Cuban and it's changed a lot over the years. And just speaking the language is going to get you more Hispanic votes than you otherwise would get. And Rubio's a great campaigner. I mean, and so is Vance. Don't know about Burgum. Scott's a terrific campaigner. I know he wasn't in the primary, but I've seen him campaign, for himself where he's comfortable. And I think as a vice presidential candidate, he'd be a great campaigner. Burgum looks like he is. So frankly, I could live with any one of the four. And I think neither one of the four is going to win it for him. And I know that neither one of the four is going to lose it for him. So it's a pretty comfortable situation. I don't know who the fifth one is. I don't know who the fifth one is. It could be
I love that he kept that open, right? That's just classic Trump.
The most recent poll, and there'll be a whole bunch of them on Monday. They always like to take them for the weekend before the primary. The most recent one, which is the Pew poll, which is, Democratic poll, but long history. It's 44 Trump, 40 Biden, 15 Kennedy.
That's high, right? Kennedy's got a high. 15's high, right?
Put him in a debate if you had a real debate.
Oh gosh.
I wouldn't. I mean, from partisan reasons, I would not like him in a debate because I think it would give Biden a break. You want Biden?
Yeah.
I mean, if I debated Biden, I'd want to give him 3 minutes for an answer. I'd take 2. Right?
Yeah.
I'd say give him 2/3 of the time.
By the way, and the CNN moderators actually helped Biden a few times, right?
Yeah, by
cutting them off or switching topics or saying we're not going there.
Well, that because you see,
give him the extra minute of the stumbling, right?
That's why you didn't have the well anyway in the debate because the moderator was cut off. We got to well anyways when you got to the psychiatrist 2 minutes. Remember I told you? He said, let him go beyond 2 minutes. You look for those well anyways, and most of them come after 2 minutes. That's when what I was showing happens. That's when the thought.
Hold that up a little bit, yeah.
Here's the thought, okay? Here's the thought, right?
And bring it closer.
You get to here, and he forgets what he's talking about.
Bring it closer to you.
He forgets he's talking about.
Yeah, there we go.
He forgets he's talking about Trump. See?
Yeah.
He forgets he's talking about Trump. Now he doesn't know what to talk about. He's in this range here. He doesn't know what to talk about. So he can't think of anything. Sometimes he thinks of something.
Yeah.
And you go like he said, how do we get to that topic?
Yeah.
But that you can get away with. But then when he's really stuck in panic, he'll use a phrase. And it's usually a repetitious phrase, and it changes with time. And last night it was, well, anyway. When he said that his wife would be angry at him, I think he realized he shouldn't have said that. And he couldn't think of what else to say. So he said, well, anyway. And he just...
well,
anyway, we'll do two things. It'll cut it off.
Yeah.
And he can't remember here. Or, well, anyway, he'll stop him. He'll get a little time, and he'll go to a different subject.
You can't use that as president of the United States, the line about your wife being angry.
But any doctor will tell you that. It's right in the book. Right in. I'm taking this right out of the BDM-5. They have a chart. Symptoms. This is a symptom of advanced, serious dementia. Not mild, not moderate. Advanced, serious dementia, because it's described as very, very immediate loss of short-term memory. Difference, right? What did I have for breakfast this morning, Ted? Well, you got me a chicken sandwich.
I had to think for a second. We had chicken.
I had some little bits before that.
Yeah.
And that might have been my lunch. So see, I'm not demented. I don't have loss of short-term memory. A typical, even moderately demented person might have trouble with this morning's breakfast.
Yeah.
Somebody who has trouble knowing that right now I'm talking about this morning's, right now, I'm talking about this morning's breakfast. All of a sudden it just, boom. And here's what's going on in my mind. What am I talking about?
You just lose train of. You just.
What am I?
You instantly forget everything you were
What am I
just.
talking about? So I'm not going to say, what am I talking about? I say, well, anyway, about 3 out of 9 times that stopped it. The other times he went on to an unrelated subject. And it's like when he screwed himself during the debate, there was a great example of that. When the question was about abortion and Biden was answering about abortion, as he should have, because that's a good point for him, right? And all of a sudden he starts to talk about a funeral of a girl that Trump went to. You could see Trump's face. He looked at my face saying,
The hell is this guy doing?
about abortion? Funeral? What's he talking about? And then all of a sudden, he had forgotten that he was talking about abortion. That little block occurred. So now he went to a funeral for a girl that was killed by an illegal alien that was let in by Biden. You got to imagine his campaign staff, who are taking a hell of a beating, and they don't deserve it, because I don't know how you, I don't know how you run a campaign. They do deserve it because they're traitors. They should turn them in. This is the presidency of the United States, boys and girls. It's not the Democratic nomination. But in any event, in terms of competence, what do you do with a guy like that? All of a sudden, he goes from their best issue to their worst issue with a ridiculous thing to complain about. Trump going to a funeral for a girl who was slaughtered, raped by an animal let in by Biden. And then when Trump responded, he could respond to that first. And then at the end say, look, on abortion, I'm doing what the American people have always wanted, return it to the states. So he beat the hell out of him on immigration, and at best, at worst, tied him on abortion. And Trump did a very good job in that debate of making the point of their extreme on abortion, which is a late-term abortion, which he sort of denied he was for, but he is. He is for it. He switched his position. Also, a public funding abortion. He was a consistent opponent of public funding of abortion. And when he wanted to run for president, conscience went, well, I'm in favor of public funding of abortion.
Yeah.
Are you in favor of abortion throughout the pregnancy?
Yeah.
Never was. Yes, I am. Now he does some kind of a word salad with Roe against Wade and but he is in fact in favor of late-term abortion, and his party is. His party is in favor of abortion until the moment the child comes out of the womb. And what President Trump refers to is Governor Northam's statement. He was the prior governor of Virginia who was speculating that the law in Virginia might very well allow abortion for a short period after birth if the abortion didn't work, the child was born alive, the mother was unconscious, the mother now comes alive, and he speculated that the mother and the doctor would have some short period of time to decide what to do. Well, they do have a decision. They could either let the child live or kill it. They could commit murder. That would be the other choice, Governor. But your party has taken us right up to that. And that's one of the, I really believe in a certain spiritual sense and sort of deep at the root of our society, this massive sin is what's bringing us down. We kill too much innocent killing. I'm not talking about in war. My goodness, if that was our ending, we wouldn't be here. That's been going on for 2,000 years. I'm talking about little innocent, can't do anything to defend themselves, killing. All right. That's what the party is running on. I mean, even if you agree with some scope of permission for abortion, which I tolerate. on a sort of analysis of we can't all impose our conscience on everybody else, where there's any kind of room to give a little. Even if you agree with that, I don't think that any person, if they calm down and thought about it and watched the way a 9, 8, or 7-month-old fetus is aborted, would ever support it, and not see that that is tantamount to murdering a baby out of the womb. And when a political party has gone that far, I'll go even one step beyond that, has gone so far as to celebrate it. Gosh, if you're there, at least be there in misery, in despair. It's the only thing I can do. It's the only thing that can happen. But to have a big celebration like the New York State Legislature did when they passed that with Governor Cuomo, that honestly frightened me. When I saw that in my state legislature, or what was my state legislature, I said to myself, what's happened to this? They become murderers. And then when I hear a party say our best issue is abortion, what? Your best issue is to see if we can assure that, like 2 years ago, more children in New York, black children in New York, are aborted than born? That's your best issue? That's the society you want to create for us. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to a society in which we kill more life than we bring people into this world. And you're telling me that that's a better world. And that's the one you want me to help. This kid. Some kind of. The democratic states allow abortion up to the moment before the child comes out of the womb. That's an absolute right. I say they allow murder. Let's see.
Yeah.
I want to, as we close the week, once again remind our demented president, or whoever takes messages for him, that there are 5 Americans that are being held hostage. Hirsch Goldberg Pollen, Eden Alexander, Segway Dekel Chen, Omar Nutra, and Keith Siegel. They also have the bodies of 3 other Americans, Ite Chen, Gadi Hagai, and Judith Weinstein Hagai. I would like to say to Hamas, who I'm sure somehow listens to things, we got a coward president right now who sucks up to you and allows you to exist. It ain't gonna be that way all the time. Maybe I'd get these people back before, huh? Of course, there are a lot of us that will not accept this. I'd also these people get released. You can't be a friend of the United States and be hiding the billionaires running the people who are holding our people hostage. And that friendship could end like that. I don't know, kind of make Saudi Arabia happy if it ended like that, huh? Cut it out. Give our people back. And give back the bodies of the people that you killed. This is what happens when you make a mistake like Joe Biden. That is what happens. This is worse than Carter. Look how disrespectfully he treated the 13 soldiers that he had killed in Afghanistan. Oh my goodness. Ted discovered, we go searching for illegal alien crime, Biden invitees who commit crime that's hidden from you so that you don't get any idea of the crime wave we have in America of illegal aliens committing crimes. But in Alabama, in Baldwin County, Zelvin Pavone Gomez an illegal from Honduras, drunk, driving, killed a 6-year-old girl. You know about that? Biden called that family? Would it have happened if Trump had remained as president and we kept it down to 400,000 instead of 3.5 million? No. No. You could say the likelihood is very small. Case of Ukraine, you can say for sure. You could say the 300,000 people that are dead in Ukraine and the 300,000 Russians would all be alive if they hadn't cheated and put Biden in the White House. Because the guy never would have attacked under Trump. Please point that out to your friends and neighbors. Trump turned over a world at peace. He's given us a world at war. Putin attacked 3 times in the last 4 presidencies. The only time he didn't attack was the Trump presidency, which tells you that Trump can contain him, the others can't, or he takes advantage of weakness. And the 3 people you elected, Bush, yes, Bush, got to live with what happened. Happened on your watch, pal. Sorry, I love you, but it did. And I told you, you'd never always be a great president for what you did on September 11th. What you did here was wrong. He attacked under you in Georgia because he knew you wouldn't do anything. And he did the same thing under Obama and the same thing under Biden. Didn't do it under Trump. Just a fact. Unfortunately, I don't think under you, he would have done what he did under Obama and meeting Bush and certainly under Biden. I don't think he would have done that under anyone but Biden, because Biden virtually invited it. This is the second one. So that was in Baldwin County, Alabama. So this is all over the country. The whole country is the border, because there is no border. And now we go to New Mexico, which is on the border. Albuquerque, this would be 10 days before. Sandoval Martinez was driving a truck. They stopped him. He tried to get away, and he got involved in a fatal crash and killed someone. New Mexico is the place where they let Baldwin off for the gun went off by itself. Remember it, okay? We'll have more on that because we're not going to forget it. Injustice just gets to me big time. Here's an interesting question I want you to think about all weekend. If it turns out that Biden does turn out to be the nominee in Chicago when we finish both these conventions, how is the left-wing media, the Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Post, and the CNN,
MSNBC, yeah.
how are they going to go back and support him?
How about the members of Congress? There's at least
But how are they going to go back and support him?
when he's a nominee.
Are they going to start that illusion that Trump is going to end democracy?
We're already seeing it.
I mean, look, the Trump ending democracy about the easiest thing to deal with since he's already been president.
Yeah,
I mean, if he was going to, and plus, the one great example is Biden had an opportunity to prosecute his predecessor.
Trump had an opportunity.
Trump had an opportunity.
Yeah.
Trump's opportunity was much greater, which much more evidence. He didn't do it. He did do it.
Bingo.
Trump had the opportunity to prosecute him when he was running. I would have done it for him. He didn't do it. He did. How can you think of this as bullshit about Trump is going to end democracy? The other guy did. But in any event, that's going to be their only, there could be that and killing babies. Elect me president because I will continue to prosecute all Republicans and kill babies. And the war in Ukraine will continue to go on so Zelensky and I can whack up the money.
Yeah.
With no possibility of a victory in sight, because I won't let him do anything that irritates Russia. And I'm going to try and do everything I can to preserve Hamas, because I hate Bibi.
And any gaffe, they will just explain. I've already seen this.
I mean, suppose
That's just Joe. Joe's always been a gaffe machine. That's just old Joe Biden.
Yeah.
You're already seeing that now. So that June 27th debate, Mayor, they're going to erase that from history.
We did it. We overdid
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
I think I have everything.
We'll be
How will the media go back to Biden? We're going to see. That'd be interesting.
we'll be at that building right behind you there come Monday.
Trump will be in Pittsburgh tomorrow. Biden will be sleeping.
Biden will be at the beach, sleeping.
You know, we played that speech of their other possible candidate, Miss Word Salad, and there must have about 30 people in that room.
Yeah.
Tomorrow in Pittsburgh, I don't know, it's going to show up 10,000, 20,000.
Yeah. Well, after this,
I remember in 2020, which is why I know we won Pennsylvania, 60,000 people showed up in a city that has a 40,000 person, max, or has 40,000 people living there. Well, we will see you. We will see you at the Republican convention next, unless we do a special Sunday. You get your hands off that kid. Man, you know, no, you shouldn't say, you can't even say that. You know what I was going to say, but I can't say it. Okay. Don't show me that. It gets me too angry. I got to calm down and pack.
yeah, we got to
Okay. Too bad we're not beer drinkers, huh?
Yeah.
But we're headed to Milwaukee. Maybe we'll have a little beer just in honor of Milwaukee. And let's pray for the people of Israel. Let's pray for the people of the United States. Let's pray for those hostages, huh? The living and the dead. The bodies that have to be brought back so their families can have closure and peace, some degree of peace. And let's pray, God, that you protect us now that we're under the guidance of an insane president. God bless America. Bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze,